Okay, so today I'm gonna try something. This is hopefully not gonna be super long, but as you know, I'm a yo-yoer, so I like to yo-yo. I yo-yo a lot, I practice a lot, and eventually I check off tricks. Like that trick, Kamikaze, that I just checked off a little bit ago, using Yo-Trick's intuitive level up system that allows you to check off tricks as you go, and you get XP, kind of like a gamer system. But of course, I have some tricks that I've created, and they're not going to be in the Yo-Tricks level up system, and I want a good way to be able to evaluate whether or not I've got them. With Yo-Tricks, what I do is if I can land the trick 5 times in a row, like with Kamikaze, then I can count it as I've got the trick down sufficiently. Might not be perfect, but if I can land it pretty consistently, then I'll count it as good and move on. Because overall, yo-yoing is just about having fun, and in the end, it's not the most serious sport. But I didn't want to forget about my tricks that I've created. So I've got some pretty good ones that I've got. So I'm starting this little mini-series to help me check off tricks that I've created, as well as make sure that they don't become forgotten. Today, I'm going to teach you my trick, Houdini Swing. But before I do that, I want to just take a little moment to mention my sponsor. Not really a sponsor, but you'll see in a moment. I just want to take a moment to remember that God is a huge influence in all of our lives, and so even if you don't acknowledge Him as God or Lord, I would still encourage you to investigate, ask questions. If you have any questions for me personally, you can email me with the link below, email below. Anyway, this is all one shot, just because I'm trying to do a little bit of more freeform video. Anyhow, this is my trick. Also, I have to land it. Part of it is I have to land it every single time I do it. I cannot fail, so I have one attempt in it. I don't get one attempt per week. I get like 10 attempts to record it every week, but after that, that's it. And so, anyway, here goes my first attempt. Anyway, this is Houdini Swing. Okay, I'm gonna actually amend that a little bit. I'm gonna use this little portion for the beginning, but that didn't go so well, and I realized I don't want to have to say that over and over again, so this will be the actual part that won't change, but the beginning and the end will change. Alright, this is attempt 3 on the Houdini Swing. So, as you can see, there's a slack element here as you have the trick slack aside right in the middle of it. What's different about this, though, is because of the way that you set up the string, by the time you get here and you go to your slack aside, you actually have quite a significant twist in your string. And so, this can cause some issues, but as long as you remember the basic principles of slack side, you should be alright. And so, that is simply, you want to make sure to kind of press your hand in front of the yo-yo. It kind of helps bring the string through to make the loop bigger. Spreading out your pinky to kind of widen the gap helps some. You could also, instead of doing those two things, you could simply bring your hand away to make the loop bigger. Those things tend to help. One thing you want to make sure is, as much as possible, make sure your yo-yo is playing smoothly, because that will affect the yo-yo. Something I learned recently is that if the yo-yo is vibing or shaking at all, it can actually cause the yo-yo to respond, which will affect this trick. So, first, you're going to land into your Houdini mouth, which is where the trick kind of gets its name. The goal is to eventually get to a point where you just, land, drop the string just like that. And I'm not counting that, I guess. I'm still figuring out how this one goes, so just bear with me as I come up with how the rules of this is going to work. This is still a tutorial though. So, anyway. The goal is to eventually get to where you can just kind of go like right into it, but as you begin, you can just kind of land, and you're going to remove your throw hand index finger and allow the yo-yo to swing that way. And that's why it's called a swing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to swing the yo-yo around behind your wrist. Now, if you really wanted, from right here you can do a backhand rejection, landing back into a trapeze, but I would recommend waiting on that because it will be coming later at the end of the trick. That's how the trick ends, with a backhand rejection. So also make sure you know that trick as well, because that will help this out. So once you're back here, you're just going to swing the yo-yo between your hands and land on the string, almost in a kind of double-on trapeze, but you know, as previously mentioned, all the strings are going to be super crossed, so it's not going to work exactly like a double-on would. So then, once you're in your double-on, this is the most difficult part of the trick that will end up causing you trouble a lot of times. And so as you can see, that loop is actually a lot smaller than the original loop that I was showing you. With slack asides, you can get that loop pretty big to get your finger in. But when you do this trick, the loop is particularly small. So that's really why you want to make sure that you have this trick down. Right there, I was able to get it to work well. Kind of just depends on how the trick is working. Yeah. So, yeah, you really want to make sure that your slack asides are good so that you understand how the slack asides work, so that when you get there, you can make it work. I generally tend to go for opening my pinky up and kind of moving my hand forward, which allows the string to open up. I haven't really tried the other method with slack asides where you pull your hand over, but I find that just kind of opening up your pinky will give it enough space to open up. And also, I should have mentioned this earlier, because this is a slack trick, you should always make sure with slack tricks that your string tension is neutralized as much as possible, because if your string is not neutralized, like if I just start tightening this bad boy up, what I will find then is, instead of having a really nice and even string, now it's going to be super twisted up. So when I go to do slack elements, like slack aside, all of a sudden my loop is non-existent. Or if I land it, it will be uber twisted. And so anything I might want to do that has slack, sometimes it'll work. I suppose that's more of a whip, so that's why it worked a little bit better that time. But point still stands. You want as much as possible with slack tricks. Make sure that your slack is non-existent as much as possible anyway. Of course, you can't get it perfectly non-existent all the time, especially because with the trick slack aside, every time you do the trick, and this is not part of the trick I'm trying to check off, every time you do the trick, it actually changes the tension of the string, so you want to do that. And so if you really wanted, you could probably incorporate that into Houdini Swing if you really wanted, but that's not how I do it, so I suppose it's not part of the trick. But anyway, with the final part of the trick, once you've landed into this kind of weird thing, you'll notice that if I bring the camera down, you'll see that there's a very precarious kind of twist in the string. So you really need to be careful, because you can't adjust once you're in this mount. You're just gonna have to do the rest. So the rest of the trick, let me get back into it. The rest of the trick, and I do kind of give myself a little bit of grace in changing the position of the string. So try and make sure, again, that goes back to the whole, make sure your string tension is neutralized and everything, or else it's not going to work well. So anyway, Once you're here, what you're going to do is you're going to take the string and drape it over your hand. And like I mentioned earlier, you're going to do a backhand rejection. Now the way a backhand rejection works is you simply kind of move the yo-yo forward. So if I show you from a side view, it looks like this. So yo-yo pushes out away from me, and then once the string is off, once the yo-yo is off the string, you're simply going to bring the string taut and underneath the yo-yo and catch it. And so basically that's the end of the trick. So you do the backhand rejection, you land it, bring it back to your hand, and that is how you do the Houdini swing. I hope you enjoyed, and I think this works out for a tutorial. Obviously I didn't land everything perfectly, but I gave myself grace in portions, like for example, the Houdini mount is something I've already practiced and got down, so even if I miss it sometimes, I'm not counting it. There were portions where the string got messed up due to tension, and so I kind of tried to give myself a little bit of grace there, but I think this works and it'll give me some more content. So I suppose, yeah, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Just make sure to remember, I am going to be changing my channel name from Control Master to the MOG Yo-Yoer, so just keep an eye out for that. Make sure to check out my other long videos so you can see how to take care of making some more of those happen. And yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Bye.